I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson.
Welcome to the Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
7 Chances is over. Who bats next? I don't know how they sound. Who knows how they sound?
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. So I want to start with Buster Keaton because I have a huge love for Buster Keaton, and I don't know what your experience with Buster Keaton is. So before we really get in, I'm just curious to know what you've seen of his, what your experience is with him as an actor. I mean, other than, a funny thing happened on the way to the forum.
I have seen things like the general, like quintessential works in the Keaton catalog. I'd seen this. I'd seen Sherlock Jr. I'd seen, a handful, not nearly enough, probably. And after watching this, just reminded me how much I like Buster Keaton. I would say I am not I haven't yet celebrated the whole catalog, so I'm not encyclopedic on my understanding of Buster Keaton. I always appreciate montages of Buster Keaton's work because I'm always thinking, man, I need to go watch that movie and that movie and that movie and that movie, and I just haven't seen enough of them. But I've seen a handful of them, enough to know that I appreciate and do very much like Mr. Keaton. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I'm surprised that you had seen this one because this isn't usually one that pops up as ones that people had seen. It's got a very, very famous sequence, but the film itself, a lot of people as a whole really hadn't seen. It's usually the general and the cameraman and there's a certain number, like the Navigator is one that people bring up as
I have not seen the Navigator, so
as one
those people are
so
clearly
Sherlock
wrong.
Jr. So there is a certain there's a certain number that generally are brought up. Also a number of his shorts, like the 1 Week is a famous short of his, like
right.
And so but I think a lot of times Keaton ends up being known for sequences and moments, like the house falling and the window hole.
That's the big one, right?
Like
with a
those
bullet.
Well, that and a number of things from the general. Like there are certain things that you'll see, like with him on the train and stuff, and so I think that becomes kind of defining who he is in so many ways, and I think people end up losing a connection with what he's really bringing to the world of silent film, right? And he's very much a silent film star. Like when everything shifted to sound, he was one of the people who kind of struggled to kind of make that change, but like I would say 3 primary comedians in the silent era, him, Harold Lloyd, and Charlie Chaplin, I think he's up there. And the fact that he is, he was raised in kind of a carnival family, a performing family, and was performing his own stuff from a very young age and performs his own stunts in all of these films. Like we're seeing him. I mean, it's entirely possible. There are some really wide shots of like somebody jumping onto the top of a tree that then falls to the ground. Is that Buster Keaton? We cut just like once we kind of see him at the edge and then we cut to a really wide shot to see the whole thing happen. Is that him, or is he actually because he is the star of the film, you don't want him hurt. Is he bringing in a stuntman? I don't know, but he does perform a lot of his own stunts.
Though, Andy, wouldn't it surprise you not at all to know that the rules that define protecting principal actors in a film were defined by the stupidity of what guys like Buster Keaton actually did? That wouldn't surprise me a lick. Like,
no,
it's because it was really him on top of the tree falling down that some attorney and somewhere said, you know what, we should probably not let them do that. Yeah. They're not going to be able to do press for the show later, for the film later. So,
well, inevitably, it had to be because somebody actually got hurt and delayed the film for like weeks from actual production. That ends up being what happens. And we've talked about that a number of times on this, like when we did our member bonus episode with Ben-Hur. horses were using the trip line and getting injured. Potentially 150 horses ended up getting injured and killed over the course of that production. And this is the period Hollywood is learning and trying these things and figuring it out. And later, by the 1939, they have a rule in place saying, guess what? You can't do that anymore. And so I think you're right. It's very possible that we're still in that era where they're just doing things and they don't have those policies in place yet that protect the stars from doing stupid things.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen Day of the Locust. I know that there are these producers who are saying, who cares if the stage is a little wobbly? Just put those people up on it. Let's get the shot. And then all these people get hurt.
If I had a dime for every time somebody said, hey, I've seen Day of the Locust, I would have a dime right now. Look, I find that this movie is incredible just because of what it calls to the sort of spiritual successor of Buster Keaton in Jackie Chan in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Like they move in very similar ways. They fall in similar ways. Like there's just a certain elegance to the physical comedy that I think that you can see in these wonderful data points in actors that we still have. And that was really joyful watching this movie. Like I had a blast. And he is also a precursor, sort of an antecedent to Tom Cruise with all the running. I mean, there's a lot of running, a lot of serious track running.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the running film, like hardcore running. This could be called The Running Man.
It could be called The Running Man. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
He's really running a lot. And yeah, I think that's an important element to remember with Buster Keaton, because he never was quite as popular as some of those other comedians I mentioned. But I mean, he did have some very successful films and a successful career during this time. And we talked about kind of like a little bit of, he was one of the, and now I'm going to blank on what they called them in Sunset Boulevard, the waxworks that they would sit around with. These people who had been famous in the silent era, just like Norma Desmond, who now were just sitting around playing bridge with her.
Right.
It was kind of a meta moment to have him there because of that. But like he introduced so much to the world of stunts and how to do these pratfalls. And, I would argue, I guess I would say how to safely do them. I'm sure he still got hurt a number of times, but still he learned how to kind of do these falls and hits and everything else that he's doing so that he could continue filming, because that's kind of the business. And I think that really did inspire. You can, like you said, you can really see that in so many of not just these great performers who would do amazing stuff themselves, like those two actors that you mentioned, but also the world of stunts. And you can see how there's this path going from what he was doing to how other stunt performers would later learn how to safely perform these things.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing about Keaton that just in reading up on the film, now my understanding is this film was an assignment for him. Like it wasn't a deeply personal project, certainly like The General. Like this was a thing that he was doing for the studio. And I think it is to be celebrated just how seriously it appears he took this film, right? That he was able to transform this thing that is otherwise a pretty long stretch of repeat sequence comedy, asking these women to marry him. It in some, maybe some aged methods. He turns it into a piece of terrific performance art. Not performance art, but stunt performance art in the running, in the boulder sequences. Like that, these things are elevated because of the attention that he paid to this, even though it wasn't something that he really needed or wanted to do himself. And I think I just think he is a principled filmmaker in that regard. I think it really shows. It's also wonderfully timed at 57, 58 minutes. Like there is a complete story in here that is fun and satisfying. And at the end, I am not hungry.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It gives all all of everything, all the bits and pieces that we need to kind of get through this story. As you said, so this is based on a play, Roy Cooper McGrew's play, Seven Chances, and Joseph Schenck, the producer, he ended up buying the rights to it, or I should say the executive, right? He's the head of the studio. He bought the rights to it, thinking that, hey, this could be a great project for Buster Keaton or the Talmadge sisters, Norma, Constance, and Natalie. And I believe he was married to Norma Talmadge at the time, or was he? Yeah, he was still married to her. I couldn't remember when they divorced. It ended up, he hired the Broadway, the stage director, John McDermott, to direct it. And because, as you said, Keaton, this was just kind of a project for hire, he owed Schenck money and had a debt. And so he agreed to act in it, much to his chagrin, because he thought the play was a sappy farce. He didn't like it at all. And he started working on it. And then a week after production started, the director, McDermott, quit and said, he told Keaton, "You're the star and producer, and your version will be the only one finally used. You're wasting thousands of dollars having me on the picture." And then Schenck agreed that Keaton could direct the film. And so, which, I think in the line of Keaton and his career, I'm trying to remember, he has directed, but I'm trying to remember if he had directed before this or if this was, he started with Three Ages. So he'd done a number of films before this, but I think that's interesting that, and what's interesting is like he couldn't figure out how to end it, and he was just going to end it like with the race like still going,
Mm-hmm.
like he was running down a hill with all the women following him, and he was just going to fade to black, and that was the end with all of these women. It'll be like the race that never ends. And he couldn't figure out how to end it. But then as he was running down a hill, he tripped on some boulders that kind of rolled after him, and he had to get out of their way. And that ended up being the moment that got the biggest laughs in a preview screening. And so that gave him the idea to do all the boulders. They made all these paper mache boulders and everything, and had that final sequence added. And it's interesting because it also means that he realized that he needed to actually have his hero marry the woman, right? And so so we actually get the marriage too. It's an interesting story, right? It's like it's one of these kind of one joke sort of tales that we have.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's like he finds out at the beginning he's a partner. The setup is he's a partner of a brokerage firm that is about to collapse because I guess his partner had made a bad deal, and it wasn't their fault, but it's basically.
But at one point it says they might go to jail. So I mean,
I wasn't really sure. I wasn't really sure exactly.
The setup is we have a couple of financial criminals.
Right. Yeah, and so they end up, at that time though, he finds out that his grandfather has passed away, and in his will, it says, "You will inherit $7 million only if you're married by 7 p.m. on your 27th birthday." And then the gag is that happens to be today. So he basically, the day's already started, and now before 7 o'clock, he has to figure out who he's going to marry. He goes to his sweetheart, Mary, who he thinks will marry him, but because he's an idiot and the way that he just talks like an idiot, she's like, "Oh, the only reason you want to marry me is to get all this money," and she gets pissed at him and breaks up. And so that sets us off on this whole quest for him to figure out who to marry. His partner and the lawyer are trying to help so they can figure all this out. He's on his own trying to figure it out. That's the setup, and we get a gag of him proposing to many, many women, not just 7, but ends up being many over the course of the story.
Yes. Now, how do you think this played as a play?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Was it just like at the country club?
Yeah,
and it was just
just 7 women,
and just going and talking to these 7 women.
I don't know. It feels like as a play, that one note, the one joke premise would be over in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, it feels like a one
we'd
act.
be done. Yeah, if that, right? It's part of a it's part of an improv show, and I don't know. I have little faith that the original, without the boulders, without the bazillion women running down the street, would be much fun. Because you're right. There's not a lot to it. There's just not a lot to it. What elevates the thing is that once the joke is done, it becomes physical comedy for the rest of the film. And Buster Keaton is so dry. It's one of the things that I notice about him that we don't get in any of the other silents that we've watched this run, is that he is an underperformer time and time again, because it's the stunts that show off what, the story. And most of these silent movie era actors they overperform for the story, right? They overperform their face, they overperform their body, everything is overperformed to really hammer home the story that you cannot hear. And Buster Keaton does not do that. And I found that a really interesting set of choices that allow the comedy to shine through. It's like he's his own straight man.
Well, and that was his trademark, right? Like he was such a always stoic in his performance, and always had that kind of deadpan expression. That his nickname was the Great Stone Face. Like everybody, like that was the thing that people love about him so much, is that he doesn't have a reaction. It's just kind of he'll almost meta look into the camera. It's not quite at the camera, but he definitely kind of like he'll turn his face, and just that stone face is the reaction, and it plays really well to so many of these moments.
Well, it reminds me of Michael Caine's. He did the thing on how to act in movies, right, and how to act with camera, and I just couldn't help but think about his speech, which is just. As a film and television actor, you act small because the camera picks up big. And so as a performer, you're looking for nuance, you're looking for subtlety, you're looking for, you're looking to let the movie play around you, let your eyes do the work. And I sort of feel like that's a result of some of Buster Keaton's choices too, right? There is a lot of modern film performance that feels like it can trace back to the old stone face.
Yeah. There's definitely an element of that to the story, where you're getting this. It's interesting because he started on the stage, right? Like he was performing with his family on the stage. We see that he clearly understands how the camera works and what the camera sees, and how to react to the camera, how to do his stunts for the camera. Like all of those little moments, like he is so careful with his timing. Like when he grabs onto the end of the crane, the crane hook at the end, and I'm sure there's a proper name for that thing, but the hook at the end of the cable.
A lot of anxiety around that sequence.
But he grabs it, and it lifts just as all the women come running in, and his timing with just how he lifts his legs just to avoid their grabbing hands is just timed perfectly. And I think that's the sort of stuff that he does so well. And I think when you're doing stunts, you have to have such a knack for timing anyway, because potentially it could affect your life or your limbs, right? You could greatly injure yourself if your timing is off. And so I think all of that is just speaks to the nature of how he understands how the camera works, what it sees, how to perform in just the right way to capture the moment.
Yeah. He has I guess a pretty consistent production team, particularly his cinematographers, the folks who were working with him. Like it seems like by this point he's got people with him that will make Buster Keaton movies. Is that fair?
I think they're definitely we're kind of in the stable. I think you'd find that with a number of these different people where they would kind of work together. And I think especially with camera, where it's such a careful time during the silent era where they were hand cranking these cameras, and they had to like have the right rhythm to kind of keep the speed for the different effects or the movement and everything to look natural. So yeah.
I don't know much of Elgin Leslie or Byron Hook, but it seems like they were frequent partners.
Well, Elgin Leslie, Buster Keaton called him the human metronome because he could change speeds as needed depending on the sequence. And, we get a lot of those things in some of these Buster Keaton movies where they're under cranking or over cranking, and he was very good at doing that. As for as for Byron Houck?
Houck? Is it Houck?
I don't know. Hook. He actually, it's interesting because he was actually a professional baseball player. That's how he started his career, playing for the Athletics. And then at the time it was the Brooklyn Tip Tops and the St. Louis Browns. So he played for 4 years, and then he became a cinematographer. So don't hear that anymore. It's an interesting shift from one completely different field to another.
Yeah.
I find that fascinating. But he ended up working with Buster Keaton, Fatty Arbuckle, a number of these people.
Fatty Arbuckle. I got to say, Roy Cooper McGrew, Joseph Schenck, Elgin Leslie, they all are names of guys who just tied a damsel to a railroad track. Like, these names are incredible.
Well, they're also like names from 100 years ago.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's such a fascinating film. The setup plays well. Like, it's a fun, goofy comedy setup with the grandfather, and I love the way that the lawyer reads that out. Snitz Edwards, that's another one.
There's another
Edwards.
one. He was there.
He's the actor who plays the lawyer. Also, this is very common in Buster Keaton films, but he gets a name. He's James Jimmy Shannon. Everyone else is how they relate to him. His partner, his sweetheart, his lawyer, her mother, the hired hand, the clergyman, hat check girl. I think that's very funny that you see that in these films. But anyway, his lawyer, the way that he reads the letter, I think is played for great laughs, where it's like, you win $7 million. Jimmy and his partner are celebrating. And then he's like, if... he kind of keeps pausing and saying, and then there's this clause that you have to follow. And he does that really well. I enjoyed the play of the letter reading that we had.
Well, and I think we have to also take a step back, because one of the great sequences in the movie before all of the massive running sequences is the lawyer trying to deliver the will to the partners. Right? He follows them. He keeps getting kicked out of the country club, and finally delivers the letter when they're seated at a table, and he slams it up against the window to make them read it. And I loved that sequence. I loved the entire just sort of mechanic of getting Snitz to their trio, into their trio, to make it a trio. I thought it was really funny.
Yeah, that played really well. Like, when he finally goes to the window and he holds the paper up against it.
And ducks.
And he ducks. Yeah, that was great. It was a funny. It played well, that whole bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
as if there's another somebody chasing those two guys with a document, right? Like, I didn't think about it until just now. Like, why does he duck? Well, because they recognize him but not the paper. What is the ducking for? That's very funny.
You wanted to jump back to that. I want to jump back one more time, because we didn't even talk about, like, this is yet another film that kicks off with Technicolor. Like, we've got some more Technicolor play experimentation in this film. The entire opening sequence was done in color, which is great to see. This is where we actually kind of see the love story between Jimmy and his sweetheart, Mary, played by Ruth Dwyer. And it's played over 4 seasons, and it's really fun because over the course of it, we see her puppy grow from big to full grown. And each one, it ends with him. He still wanted to tell her he loved her, and he doesn't. Like, he still wants to. And so this is the kind of the perpetual problem that this guy has is he loves Mary, but he's afraid to say it. And things keep progressing and changing around them, yet he still hasn't gotten up the nerve, as we see by the time he finally does because of this. And it's accidental when he finally proposes to her.
Right, right. This is one of the things about the movie that is also a bit of a splinter, and I know I have to let it go. So I'm just going to say it and be done. That it's one of those movies, I think you already alluded to it, one of those movies that if they would just have a little bit less of an idiotic conversation out loud, the movie would be over and you wouldn't have to deal with the cringy, why aren't they together right now sequence. She would say yes. She would say yes if you were just able to get over yourself a little bit. Of course, we wouldn't have, the Running Man sequence, but if he was a smarter guy.
Yeah.
But it is frustrating. It's like if you would just stop for just a handful of seconds and have this conversation.
Yeah. Right.
So.
I mean, she says yes. Like she already agreed. Yes. And then he screws the whole thing up because he just keeps talking and opening his mouth and making
just
a mess of
shut
things.
up, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Although it is funny. It does make you think, though. Think of this. If you went and proposed to your wife after having just found out, now you two love each other, you've known each other forever, but if your proposal happened after you just found out that you were going to inherit $7 million, and that's $1925, so $100 million, I don't know what it is, a huge chunk of money, and your wife found out that you proposed right after that because there was a caveat that you had to be married by 7:00 that night, would that, no matter how much you loved each other, would there still be a suspicion in her heart that the only reason it happened is because of the money?
Okay. Look, how would you, all right, how would you do it? Let's just riff. How would you propose to your now wife before, if there was money involved? What would you say?
Well, that's the question. Like, that makes it really hard because they're going to always wonder, is it only because of the money that they're doing this?
I don't think it's that hard. I think the conversation is, look, honey cakes. I think that's what you called her. Honey cakes. I know, I love you and you love me and things are progressing as they should. And this is just an issue of timing. I happen to have an opportunity to make good for both of us if we were to do this today. Now, we know we're going to do it someday, but if we do it today, there's a perk. Would you like to hear more?
Well, right. And then, but then
do you
that's
like that? Because now it's
proposal.
Would you like to hear more? Is kind of like you're getting her.
Like
you're getting her into an MLM. Like it's a multi-level marketing. Yeah. You only have to invest the rest of your life.
It's really funny. And honestly, what he says, or what he says later is like, I don't even care about the money. Like I think she overhears it at some point where she's like, I don't even care. I just wanted to get married to her, and now everything's falling apart. And like, that's the sort of thing that I think you'd have to say in there. You'd have to say, look, I don't care if we get married tonight, like by 7:00, but if we do, we get all that money. But it's just tricky because it does create this extra layer to why now. Yeah. No, I know. I mean, I hear it.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a slapstick kind of, crazy comedy if he was a smooth talker and actually knew how to talk to his bride to be.
Yeah. Right. Well, and it's only because of her mother.
If his idiot, right. Right. And his idiot partner sets things in motion. We haven't yet said that the big issue is not that he couldn't get one of the women in the restaurant or the country club, whatever, to marry him. It's that his idiot partner put the story in the newspaper, and that sets things off to a degree. That builds the last half hour of the movie.
Yeah, like it's possibly the worst idea someone could have of just say, hey, this guy is going to inherit $7 million if he's married by 7 o'clock. If you're interested and you can get your bridal outfit together in time, meet at the church at 5 o'clock. It's like, what is he expecting? Like, that's what's so funny. And then what is even funnier is all the women who show up, like, it's all just like they've thrown a pair of knickers
Towels
on their head to make it look like a veil. It's very, very funny. So
the second half of the movie is where I think you really see what I gather is the Buster Keaton-ness, right? The sense of directorial perfection, the architectural perfection that he brings to these major sequences, because there are crane shots in this movie, like moving camera, high level shots that show the city overrun. It feels like World War Z, right? It is overrun with brides. And again, you brought up timing, the precision timing of where these brides are coming from, what alley they're coming from, how big their numbers are, from the very beginning when they're walking behind him and he doesn't know that they're there, to the point where he realizes it and the running begins. The precision, sort of militaristic approach to getting the crazy crowd running after him and using the architecture of the city to make it funny is incredible. That's why you watch this movie, right? That's why these standout sequences are always used in all of the Keaton montages, because it really is incredible.
It's mind-boggling, like how constructed the whole thing is and how well constructed it is. And it all starts in the church when he wakes up on the front pew, and while he slept on the pew, sad because he thought he'd failed, the church has filled up with hundreds of women. And then the chase begins when they realize who he is and they're pulling him and he has to escape out the church. And the run begins. And you see, and you know, Keaton had said, you know, they had hired 500 women for this. I don't know if that's just kind of a number he threw out, just kind of
it sure looks like
round
more.
it, but it's certainly, well, it's a lot. I mean, geez, it's so many women just chasing after, and it's very funny to see like these chase sequences and all of them that now they're angry at him because it seems like, you know, he's isn't really serious about this. And so they're all kind of like wanting to tear him apart, it seems. And he's getting lifted by cranes and he's hopping on trolley cars and in cars and all sorts of stuff to get away from them. And it's amazing how long it goes. Like that's the thing that kind of surprises you is that this chase is like half the film. Like we are watching him running from this group of 500 women for a very long time through rivers. Like he's swimming across a river. He's running up and down hills through sand dunes. He jumps onto a tree that then is getting chopped down and it brings him to the ground. And then again, finally to that hill with all the boulders that somehow manages to not kill all the women below, but they all get away. But that kind of, that's the whole chase. It's just, it's amazing how much there is because it just keeps building in insanity.
It does. And I think maybe watching it with today's eyes and also being a little bit anti-ankle pain, watching that boulder sequence is traumatizing. Like it is what he does to, I mean, I know they're paper mache boulders. I get it, but that hill is real. And his hopping around and falling and rolling.
A 200-pound paper mache boulder is still 200 pounds. He
it's 200 pounds of boulder.
One of them that hurt his leg. It's just like Indiana Jones. Like you're running from that thing because it still is 200 pounds.
It's still very large. Yeah. No, it's incredible to watch the escapades, just the physicality of what he's able to do. We haven't talked about the hotel sequence, right? There's a mistaken identity sequence where we get an interesting sort of human shell game of, wait a minute, is that a different movie that I watched this weekend?
Wait, the shell game?
Well, it's not a shell game. When he's in the hotel and drunk and the husband and wife are across the room. I think that's a different movie.
Yeah,
I watched
we're
some
talking
shorts.
something else. Yeah.
I watched some of Buster Keaton's shorts on Canopy this weekend with my son, and I think I just interposed
I think
a
you
different.
did. Yeah.
I did. I'm sorry about that, but it's very funny. You should watch it. Anyway, I don't remember where I was.
Where we were talking about just the complexity of the race, how long it went.
Yes.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah, complexity of the race, how long it went, and just how able he is at doing things like falling down, tripping, making it look real, throwing himself out windows. Just the mere act of him throwing himself out the church window, and his role is an order of magnitude more competent than I can imagine of myself, which makes the movie really fun.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of training to get all of this stuff right. It's wild how far they go with some of this stuff, and just how he seems like he is, I don't know, made of just some sturdy stuff in order to handle some of the things that he does to his body. Like there's a moment when I think it's when he hits the sand dunes, where he like does it's like he trips and does like a triple somersault. He lands and rolls and lands and does it again, and he keeps somersaulting with like big. It's not just I'm rolling on the ground somersault. It's like a flip up in the air and then roll and flip up in the air and roll and flip up in the air and roll all the way down this hill. And I'm like, how do you not break your neck doing something like
Yes.
that? It's insane what he's pulling off there.
Yeah,
But that's why it's so good. That's why it's so entertaining to watch. And he knows this. He understands what people are interested in as far as seeing these crazy things that he will do on screen. And hence we get so much of it here.
It's the Tom Cruise effect. That's very Tom Cruise. Arguably less funny than Buster Keaton, but capable. And this is why we watch. This is why we watch him hanging off of planes. That's if Buster Keaton would be hanging off of airplanes.
It makes you wonder if there was a time where Buster Keaton broke his ankle doing a jump and then kept running.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Can you even imagine?
Yeah, entirely possible.
Buster Keaton.
There was a gag early in the film that I don't think I didn't get. And I actually had to go and look at like what it meant because it was something of its time. This is before he goes to the church. He's still in the moment where he's just proposing to any woman he finds, women on the street. He starts at the club with all the women at the club. He comes to a theater. There's a vaudeville theater, and it says like now showing, and it's a picture of a woman dancing or something like that. And he's like, oh, and he asks the guy at the door, can I just go in real quick? And he's like, you're going to have to give me some money. And he gives the guy some money. He goes in, and this is a gag that happens a number of times throughout this film where he does something, and then after he's kind of left the frame, somebody moves something and reveals information that we didn't have, and now it turns into funny because that what they've moved reveals something that makes us laugh. In this case, it says now showing Julian Eltinge is what the name is underneath where the sign had moved. I didn't know this, but I guess that was a very famous drag performer at the time, and then he comes hurrying out, grabs his money back from the doorman, and takes off. It's like there are moments like this, and I think it's funny that I think this may be the first film that we're running into of this series that's actually present day 1925. I think all the others have been period pieces. So it's like we're actually getting like current references of the time in this story.
Yeah, yeah. I assumed that it was a drag related thing.
Yeah, you assume, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I did not research further. I'm glad to know that's confirmed, and I wasn't missing a massive cultural thing that I should have known.
Yeah, I guess Eltinge was just a very, very famous female impersonator of the era.
Okay.
And so everyone at the time who watched the movie
Knew.
would immediately know who that is. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the Arsenio Hall gag in Aladdin, something
Yeah.
like that, where people have seen it, woo, 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 that whole thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
So,
Okay. Yeah, there were a number of those times. There were some that that doesn't age great. He's walking behind a woman and thinks he's going to ask her, and catches up to her and turns and finds she's black, and kind of rolls his eyes weird and waves off. Does not age well. Those kinds of
same thing with the
sequences.
woman reading like the Jewish newspaper.
Yes, right. This sort of casual comedic racism does not age well, in spite of all the other stuff that it reminds you you're watching 100-year-old movie where we were 100-year different people as humanity. It's not great.
Well, we also have the hired hand. This is Mary's hired hand, her family's hired hand, who is black, but is actually a white guy. The actor's name is Jules Cowles.
Oh,
he
my
is
God.
a white guy in blackface, and
Yeah.
and it plays poorly every
Very
time that
poorly.
comes up. And it's definitely happened in Keaton's films. I mean, he's worn blackface in some of his shorts and stuff.
Yeah.
So again, it's the era, and these are things that don't hold up as well through today's eyes, that you're like, ugh, man, we have to do that. You have another
hired
black
hand.
actor later in the film.
We
that
do.
It does fine. Like, why couldn't this guy have been just a black actor? But
Yeah, I mean it's really rough. That in particular, not just the blackface, but the giant shoes and the way he walked. It's right out of a horrifically racist political cartoon of the era, right? It looks like it's the one character that looks like it was taken right off the page, right, of a hastily drawn sketch, racist sketch. Played for comedy. It's rough, really rough. Yeah.
And that's just one of those things that unfortunately you have to deal with when you go back and look at these, because it's like, well, that's a bummer. But
Yeah.
but there are some other things that I think Keaton plays with, which is kind of fun. There is a really fascinating match dissolve that Keaton does when he leaves the country club and he's going to drive over to Mary's and propose to her. He walks out of the country club, hops in his car. You've got a full shot of the car. He hops into the car. He sits behind the steering wheel, and then we dissolve to a match shot of him now with the car in front of Mary's house. We never see him driving. It's just an interesting way to kind of move us from one place to the other, of doing it. Just, he hops in, match dissolve. Now he's at Mary's. He goes in, has the failed attempt at proposing to her, and then he leaves and he comes back and sits in the car again, another match dissolve back to the country club. Like, what a fun, weird little addition of just camera play that he was trying out here.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. It's just such an easy shortcut to changing locations. I loved it. I really loved it, and it's one of those things that if you're not tracking the movie, you start tracking the movie, because it's now done something sort of impossible right in front of your eyes to move you through space and time. And I find that generous filmmaking. I think it's a really useful way to cut time and remind me where we are. And I thought that was really, really clever. And just think about how hard that is to capture in 1925, right? I mean, today you could be a little bit loose on your framing because you can reframe in Premiere or Final Cut, and you can crop and tilt and get alignment just right. But this stuff was in camera.
Yeah, right.
And precise. And it was perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, you see him try, he does this quite a bit. Is it The Cameraman, or I think it might be Sherlock Jr., one of the other ones where he does quite a bit of this. I think it's Sherlock Jr., where he puts himself kind of into this dream state where he's dreaming he's like this great detective, and he kind of goes into this movie, and it keeps match cutting as he's going from scene to scene and it's all him like getting the image perfect, like so that they could figure out where he is. He's right here. Okay, now we've got to get you right here in this position. So when we cut, now you're in the new place. It's a lot of work. And like you said, it's all in-camera trickery that they're coming up with and figuring out how to do it. And this is also the era where they don't have a video village of a recording of what you're filming. So they have to like print the film, and then I don't know what they do. Like, do they take that frame and blow it up and put it in front of the lens, and so the cameraman is seeing it and then pulling it out of the way and putting it in, pulling it out of the way to get things like, I don't know how they were doing it. I don't know
how they do it.
Quite a bit of work to accomplish those things back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing that wows me the most on some of these sequences, is just thinking about how complex it is to capture what he was trying to capture using the tools they had at the time. It's extraordinary.
Yeah. It's just wild. My last little note was Jean Arthur pops up in here. This is, again, before she had become a star. She's the uncredited supporting role as Miss Smith, office receptionist at the switchboard, reading the romance novel. That's Jean Arthur. So not her film debut, but still in that era before she became really big. So
what was the other movie? Was it an Eddie Murphy movie that was about you get an inheritance if you do such and so by a certain time?
Well, Trading Places, he does that whole gag where if you, you're thinking of Richard Pryor in, Brewster's Millions. He was in the remake of it, but yeah, that's the story where you have to get all this money, but you have to spend it all within a week or whatever. And if you can
and there were conditions on how you spend it.
Yeah, you get it's something like you get $3 million. You have to spend it all within the week, and you can't like spend it on investments and things like that. You have to like legitimately get rid of all of the money. And if you do that within the week, then you get like $30 million. That's the gag with that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So. I guess, I mean, I'm thinking about movies with weird conditions that have to be met in order to get an inheritance. Like, well, I guess Kind Hearts and Coronets, you got to murder a bunch of people.
I don't think it was written in the will that had to happen, but no, yes, he does have to go through all of that.
Oh, well.
Yeah, which reminds me, the trailer for John Patton Ford's new take on that story is out. So
we can actually see that. We've been talking about that for years.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I think there's a thing we haven't talked about the inheritance clause that it's interesting ideologically. Am I there?
You're back now. There's a thing we haven't talked about.
Yeah, about inheritance in general, which is that this movie in 1925 makes really ridiculous conditions contingent on receiving an obscene amount of money. And by doing so, minimizes the value of the inheritance itself, right? It minimizes the value of inherited money. It makes it, for these guys, they were going to go to jail if they don't pay off their debts, right? So it is an economic salvation, but it's also a trap because he has to get married and they don't get to keep themselves out of jail, presumably, if they're not married. Totally arbitrary. It really stupidly commodifies marriage, right? It's like you can marry anybody. We don't care who it is. Just get married because that is ideological purity, and that's worth monetizing in the way that we're monetizing, the inheritance. And I guess it's a class, certainly a class play, right? We're saying that, this is something that is unique to the privileged to be able to make these kinds of requests to our offspring, to our descendants. And it's not very romantic.
No,
that's what I have to say about that. Like the money has kind of made it aromantic.
Yeah. Well, again, that's why I asked earlier, like, how would you propose? Because it puts a whole different spin on the actual proposal. And I think that you're right. There's a kind of a grossness, but I'm imagining that was part of the farcical nature of the play to begin with, that these rich people have the boredom and the pushiness to say, I can make these demands because I have this money. And if you want this money, then you're going to do what I want you to do. And even though I'm dead, you're going to have to get it done if you want to see a set of it. So,
yeah. And I think I do believe that's part of the farce. Like, I believe they're making the joke because it's ridiculous, not because, Buster Keaton thinks that money should be tied to ideological action.
Okay. So here's a question then, again, knowing that neither of us have ever seen this play or read it, is there farce here? I mean, Buster Keaton called it a silly farce, so obviously he saw the play as kind of a farce, but do you see the farcical nature of that proposal? Does it play out here?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does because of, it's lampooning the act of proposal by making him propose to so many women. Yeah. It's lampooning the act of inheritance by making so many women chase him. Like, that is a farcical setup. That's designed in such a way to make us live outside in this sort of farcical fairy tale version of Los Angeles, right? Like, we're in a different universe.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that it's still all of that is there, and then we still get the message that I would marry her regardless.
Anyway.
Like, I don't want the money. I just want to marry her. Like, we're still getting that honest message. And so I think that it still comes through. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's important to note, because we have so many stories that have made inheritance either the butt of a joke in film, or the root of sort of malevolent or maladaptive family relationships.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about things like Succession, which, obviously take diabolical family inheritance discussion to whole horrible new levels.
Well, even in the Dudley Moore movie, Arthur, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't that something involving an inheritance?
Man.
And that's definitely more screwball comedy, but it's an inheritance premise. That's the whole thing. He's stands to inherit $750 million only if he marries a woman chosen by his wealthy family, the profoundly boring Susan Johnson. That's the whole thing. So they give him a stipulation. But again, that's also to say, look, dude, you are a mess. If you want to have any part of this family again, you got to clean yourself up. So, there's a little bit of that nature too. But yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
All right.
Just last note, $7 million in 1925 is $129.6 million today.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Does it hit you differently watching this movie with that sort of extraordinary, like, it's a farce about that kind of extraordinary wealth in an era now where people with such extraordinary wealth in 2025 are looked at as suspect?
Yeah, right. Well, it makes you, in 1925, they might not have been looking at them suspect, but they certainly were. Again, he's a financial criminal.
He's a financial criminal. And we hadn't hit like 1929, but we were on the way.
Right. It's like we were almost there. Like, these types of people were the ones who ended up causing all of that. So
yes,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gross.
Whole other level to this. So
yeah.
Well, I love it.
Right.
I have a lot of fun watching this one. So I guess that's it, right?
I do too. I like money.
All right, we'll be right back, but first, our credits.
But first, this tab. The Next Reel is a production of True Story FM, engineering by Andy Nelson, music by Ziv Grunberg, Ziggy, Maya Belsitzman, and Matan Efrat, Oriel Novella, and Eli Catlin. That was smooth, right? That was great.
Totally smooth.
Totally
felt
smooth.
Natural, like you practiced for weeks.
Like I practiced 100 times. Andy usually finds all the stats for the awards and numbers at the-numbers.com, boxofficemojo.com, imdb.com, and wikipedia.org. Find the show at truestory.fm, and if your podcast app allows ratings and reviews, please consider doing that for our show.
All right, this is me, right?
Yeah, because is membership or letterboxd?
I'm letterboxd.
You're letterboxd?
I just did membership last week.
Crap. Okay. Well, fine.
Right? Or did I get it wrong? Let me go
I
back
think
and
you
look.
might have I think you might have gotten it wrong because wasn't last
week we did Phantom.
Oh.
Yeah, and I did membership.
You're right. You did membership. Okay. So that's okay. That's okay.
You're gonna have to rewrite yours or
Got it.
send it to me later.
I can do that. Shh. You read slow.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Tick. 7 o'clock is coming faster than you think. You're scrolling, you're searching, you're stalling. One more trailer, one more maybe later, one more I'll decide after this. Meanwhile, the clock is doing its little victory lap around the dial. Click, click. You could be logging in instead of wearing out your thumbs. Letterboxd is where all that movie indecision goes to get sorted out. You log what you watch. You stack what you want to watch. You see what everyone else is actually watching. Suddenly, the choice isn't chaos, it's a list. Tick, you open your diary. Click, you add the film. Click, you rate it, tag it, shelf it, brag about it. Open the floodgates and it all comes at you at once. Crash, your stats roll in. Most watched actors, favorite years, hidden habits. Smash, the recommendations hit. Directors you've neglected, genres you've forgotten you love. A little avalanche of movie data tumbling down in the best possible way. Click, click, the keys keep tipping. The keys keep time with the clock. You're building a watch list instead of staring at a home screen. You're following friends, critics, that one stranger with flawless taste, reviews, lists, half-formed thoughts, all of it piling up. But now it's organized, trackable, rewatchable. If you want the full kit, no ads, deep stats, streaming alerts, you head to thenextreel.com. You head to thenextreel.com/letterboxd or sign up on Letterboxd and drop the code NEXTREEL. That's 20% off Pro or Patron, new sign up or renewal. Tick, you were going to watch something tonight anyway. Click, now you'll actually know what and why. 7 o'clock is still coming, but this time, you're ready.
That's like a slam poetry jam.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah. No, I got it.
I'm not clearly as
got it.
practiced as some people who actually do it.
I thought it was great.
Hopefully it wasn't terrible. That's what editing is for.
That's what editing is for. Yeah. Drop frame. All right. Sequels and remakes, Andy. How many times has this story been remade? Do you know? Like in total?
A surprising more than I thought. This was one I didn't think had actually been remade, but I was wrong. Several times. We start with the Three Stooges in their films Brideless Groom, which coincidentally was also written by Clyde Bruckman, and Husbands Beware. So 2 films that the Three Stooges did that repeat this story. There is a French film, The Suitor, Les Suppliants, I don't know how you say that, which was made in 1962 with Pierre Etaille. Again, I don't know how you say his name. Last but not least, this is the one that we mentioned last week, The Bachelor, the 1999 film with Chris O'Donnell and Renee Zellweger, which I vaguely remembered the trailers, and I said, doesn't look like anything I'd want to watch. That was a remake of this. Did you see that one?
No. I don't think so.
This is before Chris O'Donnell ended up on whatever that TV show has been on for 20 years, whatever. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I did. That was, he's an NCIS something.
One of those things.
No.
He ended up on that and has been, but before that, he was doing stuff like this. And I just remember it looked terrible and it ended up getting really bad ratings. People said it wasn't, it didn't fit as well. I remember reading somebody who said that the idea of like hundreds of women chasing after this guy in the climax of the film just felt out of place for the era, you know. And I think if you're going to make it the right way, you have to craft it in the right tone. Like it really has to feel like a farce. And I don't know, maybe that one just didn't feel farcical. It felt like they're just doing a silly rom-com, and it just wasn't the whole idea. So
it's funny, as time passes, it gets increasingly difficult to do a proper farce.
Yeah.
In contemporary farce.
Yeah. Like very few people know how to do it.
Yeah.
So, and last but not least, there is a group called the International Buster Keaton Society. I love that exists. I kind of want to sign up and become a member now. Anyway, they actually recreated the Seven Chances bridal run in the streets of Muskegon, Michigan. I don't know if I'm saying Oregon. Muskegon, Michigan, at their 2010 convention. That tells me that they have annual conventions, which is a thrill.
Yeah. They should. I wonder what they do every year. They probably do some Keaton stunt every year.
They probably have someone do it, yeah.
Everybody gets a house to fall on them with the open window. Risky. Some of it's very risky. Anyway, how to do
hold on.
You're doing a thing? All right.
I'm doing a lot real-time research here, Pete. The International Buster Keaton Society, it's a nonprofit to foster and perpetuate an appreciation and understanding of the life, career, and films of Buster Keaton, to advocate for historical accuracy about Keaton's life and work, to encourage dissemination of information about Keaton, and to endorse preservation and restoration of Keaton's films and performances. It's all volunteer, and yeah, I just love that they exist. They have a store of stuff you can get, and let me see what they do as far as I'm trying to see if they have a list of annual meetups and stuff. I don't know, but
that'd be fun.
You can nominate people to be on the board. That's a weird thing.
I'm nominating you for sure. I wonder if you have what your credentials have to be to
You're
get
right.
a position on the board.
Their next, their 2025 convention. No, I guess it would be their 2026 convention. Is 304 days, 15 hours, 45 minutes, 32 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess it's always in Muskegon.
Is there a Buster Keaton connection to Muskegon?
I don't know.
We're missing.
Is he from Muskegon? Like, that's probably the obvious thing that we're gonna be embarrassed about.
No, he just really liked it.
He's from Pequot, Kansas.
And nobody wants to go to Kansas, so they chose Muskegon.
He spent the summers of 1908 to 1916 at the Actors Colony in the Bluffton neighborhood of Muskegon, along with other famous vaudevillians. So there you go.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. How to do it award season?
This isn't a film that was getting Photoplay magazine awards
attention.
At the time. Yeah, nothing. 1966, though, the BFI, the British Film Institute, at their awards, they gave him a special mention for their Sutherland Trophy, directed to Buster Keaton. And, of course, the 2013 Saturn Awards, they had nominated for Best DVD or Blu-ray Collection for the Ultimate Buster Keaton Blu-ray Collection, but lost to Universal Classic Monsters, The Essential Collection.
Universal Classic Monsters.
Yeah.
Probably no Phantom of the Opera.
They do have the 1943 crappy
It's
Phantom
in
of
there?
the Opera in it, yeah.
Oh,
I have both of those collections, and I prefer the Buster Keaton one.
Noted. All right. Well, this one, you've been on just a roll lately with your numbers. Surely you have extraordinary detail on this gem from 1925.
I was really expecting to have numbers for this because it is MGM, and I'm like, okay, Eddie Mannix, give me the info. I don't know what happened here. I don't know if this one just slipped through the cracks or what, but I have no idea how much Keaton had to make this film. I did read that the producer paid $25,000 for the rights, and I believe he paid the original director $10,000. So we at least know it cost more than that. The movie opened March 15th, 1925, and was a box office success, going on to earn just under $600,000 or $10.8 million in today's dollars. So we're going to assume they made their money back, but again, really have no idea.
But nowhere near the inheritance that would have been won in the movie.
No, nowhere near, sadly.
Disappointing. Well, I'm glad we watched it. I had a blast. It is a fun movie, and I will say the 4K restoration is on Canopy in the library, and it was a treat to watch, and I'd do it again.
Yeah, it's beautifully restored. It looks great. And it's just a fun film. If you haven't seen Buster Keaton, or if you've only seen like the big ones, I think it's a great one to still check out because of everything going on in that last half. It's just a lot of fun. And so I say give it a chance. Check it out and find yourself laughing quite a bit. Again, it's just under an hour.
Yeah, easy peasy. And I mean, you could watch it in about the same amount of time it'd take you to watch an episode of NCIS Poughkeepsie.
Is that where it was? Poughkeepsie.
I don't know. Nobody knows.
All right. Well, that's it for today's conversation. Next week, we're going to be looking at Charlie Chaplin's Gold Rush. This is another interesting one because this is one that he released in the 40s, I believe, and wrote an entire script for himself, like as the narrator talking through the story, and changed it a little bit. So again, we'll have to try to look for the 1925 version, but they're both out there. They're both, they're both worth watching.
All right.
Yeah. All right. We'll be right back for our ratings.
So yes.
Now it's your turn.
All right. All right, people, places. We're burning daylight and money here. Animals. I need those 17 ostriches released on my mark. Stunts. You're on the collapsing scaffolding. Remember, it needs to fall in sections, not all at once. All right, my leading man. Okay, you're juggling the Ming vases while you're riding the unicycle, while the ostriches are chasing you. What do you mean, which direction? They're ostriches. They don't follow a script. Props, start the windmill. No, faster. I need those blades moving at comedic velocity. Wait, who put a real beehive on the set? Props! I need prop bees! Prop bees! Release the ostriches anyway. Keep pedaling. Drop the vases. Now catch the vases. This is cinema! Keeping track of all those moving pieces reminds me, there's a lot happening at the Next Reel, and the best way to get all of it is to join the Next Reel family. When you become a Next Reel family member, you get bonus episodes. You get early access to new shows, exclusive in-episode content. You get your own personal podcast feed. You get ad-free versions of select episodes. You get access to our live recording sessions and exclusive channels in our Discord community. Plus, of course, you get the satisfaction of directly supporting the podcasts that you love. Head over to truestory.fm/join and become a member of the Next Reel family of podcasts today. And cut! Print that! Somebody catch those damn birds. Where are they going?
This is cinema!
Okay.
Love it.
Letterboxd, Andy, letterboxd.com/the Next Reel. That's where you can find our all of our reviews and ratings at our Next Reel HQ page over on Letterboxd. What are you going to do with your stars and hearts for 7 Chances?
I have such a fun time with this Buster Keaton film. It's not like one of my favorites, but it's up there. I have a very easy time enjoying watching this one. This one is 4 stars and a heart for me.
I'll give it 4 stars and a heart, too. And I don't really know why. I mean, we had a great time talking about it. I think it's probably the star falls around the aging racism tropes. Some of the just sort of ideological stuff that's going on in there that is just unpleasant and out of time, and it makes it a little bit cringy to watch these things sometimes. But it's an exceptional performance, and that last half hour is just to die for. It's really, really great.
Yeah, it's some of just the most fun stuff with Keaton. So, again, he's a comedian well worth checking out. If you haven't seen any of his stuff, please try some of them because it is a lot of fun. Well, that averages out to 4 stars and a heart. You can find that on our account at Letterboxd at The Next Reel. You can find me there at Soda Creek Film, and you can find Pete there at Pete Wright. So what did you think about 7 Chances? We would love to hear your thoughts. Hop into the Show Talk channel over in our Discord community, where we will be talking about the movie this week.
When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
Letterboxd giveth, Andrew.
As Letterboxd always doeth.
A wide variety of points on Letterboxd this week. Where'd you go?
And also there's just a lot of people who clearly just rate through today's eyes. And I think that's always interesting to see because, I look at these films, like I know there's problems with it, but I also recognize it's 100 years old and there's definitely different time of way of people were thinking. Those things still bother me, but I'm not going to, judge the movie on that, as much. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't pick one of those. I went for a funny one, 4 stars and a heart by Matt Singer, who said, given the amount of full speed sprinting Buster does in this one, it's genuinely surprising this movie's modern remake stars Chris O'Donnell and not Tom Cruise.
We endorse that comment. Yes,
very
absolutely.
True. Very true.
Yeah, I had originally thought about. Well, I mean, I think I got one that kind of wraps it up, but which is from Henry. It's a 3-star that says extremely questionable jokes and overall plot. We love to hear that Buster thought it was garbage too and only made it to settle a debt. But who am I to say the avalanche scene doesn't absolutely bang? Yeah, that's true. I do want to follow up with one more little bonus from Alyssa Heflin, who gives it a heart and says, "Hat check, girl. What's your at?" That hat check girl was fire. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Letterboxd.